All right, go ahead, Mike. I think we're recording.
All right, welcome Summit. This is going to be a nice call today. We have Rick and Peter with Easy Home Inspector Marketing. By the way, their product is featured in this month's newsletter, April 2025, for the member benefit highlight. You can take advantage of their discount that they're offering on their services. Um, uh, Peter said he's not going to really promote his service. However, I kind of want to give him a plug right at the very end because I'm doing this up front. We highlight a vendor in the industry each month, promote them in our newsletter, and then have a conversation about the some of the services and things that you guys offer. So, Rick and Peter, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate your time. Few housekeeping notes. Just as everybody's aware, we have our next summit meeting on Saturday, June 28th in Baltimore. Please respond to my email. Send me an email, a text, uh, any way you want to let me know that you're coming. Aaron and I are putting together pretty cool dinner arrangements for after Saturday. We're kicking around the idea of possibly doing a harbor harbor cruise dinner with drinks and all that. So we're trying to get a head count so we can get that reserved, depending on how many people that we have. And then also mark your calendars for Inspection Fuel, September 8th through 10th, which is going to be down in New Orleans as well. So more information to come. Obviously, Summit members get to attend Inspection Fuel for free as well. To that, we will have a promo code that'll be sent out a couple months before the fuel meeting, so everybody has time to sign up and register for your team and yourself. So look for that coming from me shortly as well. So without further ado, I'm going to let Peter and Rick take over. I think Peter, you're kind of going to do the PowerPoint here in our presentation today. So take it away.
Awesome. Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate you all inviting us to be a part of this. We love educating people, especially when it comes to help marketing their businesses and get more inspections. So yeah, today we're going to talk about creating videos with your cell phone. So what's coming up? We're going to talk about why your phone works, why it's good enough. You don't need to invest money in equipment and spend a lot of time in production. You can keep it very simple. We're going to talk about creating content. I think that's one of the most difficult things people have is figuring out what's good content, what's bad content. So we're going to talk about that. Preparing your video to post when you post it on social media. Like we're talking about very, very minimal editing, just to kind of clean up your video a bit and make it look better. We're going to offer some pro tips. Again, we talk about it doesn't have to be big production, but we still want it to look good. We don't want there to be a lot of distractions in it. We'll talk about how to post to Facebook, and then I'll kind of wrap it up with some final thoughts. So a little bit about me. Again, my name is Peter Schlemmer. I'm the social media director and the video content manager for Easy Home Inspector Marketing. I've been in marketing since 2010. And before that, I was the video content manager for House Check, where I was part of the team. It was a home inspection company. I was part of the team. We helped build the company from scratch, to almost $1 million in a month. And prior to that, I was a TV news reporter. So I've been telling stories for a really long time, and that's what I love to do. So why does your phone work great? Why is it good enough? Well, I mean, most of us, modern phones, they shoot fantastic quality. Even if your phone is 5 years old, 6 years old, the quality is easily good enough because we're talking about social media. And most of what you see on social media and a lot of what you see on YouTube, people are shooting them with their cell phone. So the quality is fantastic. And social media, it's all about the content, not the production value. And what I mean by that is if you're creating something, a movie, a commercial for TV, or something for a streaming service like Netflix, then yes, of course, quality obviously matters. It has to be perfect. But for social media, it just has to be good enough, or at least good enough to where it's not a distraction and people are going to watch it. Marketing is about creating content consistently over an extended period of time. And DIY is the most economical way to do this. Or do it yourself. So for marketing to be effective, you can't post once a month and then disappear, post a bunch for a week and disappear, come back a week later, then post a bit more, and then not for a while. You really have to be consistent. And hiring an agency is one of the easiest ways to be consistent. But hiring an agency to do custom content over that extended period of time is very expensive. And so learning how to do it yourself is the most affordable way to do it. And so, yeah, it's not about the production value, but it still needs to look good. Bad video is a distraction. And so today we're going to try to teach you how to create some great video, some great content, and so it still looks good. So before we get into how to use your phone, let's talk about the content. I said earlier, it's one of the biggest challenges for people is coming up with what to post. And so we want to talk about, to help you see the opportunities for good quality content that engages people. You just need to know how and where to look for it. So let's talk about a few things that you might see at an inspection. Highlight cool do-it-yourself projects that are there, whether they're clever, whether they're well done, or they're just disasters. Okay, maybe they're not well done. Just be careful when you make fun of something. Make sure you're trying to be funny and not mean. Because if it gets back to the homeowner or the person who referred you, that could end badly and it could hurt future referrals. But finding something funny or clever or unique is a great way to go. Where you're doing the inspections or what inspections you're doing. I mean, this is a great way to show people where you're willing to travel, what types of different inspections that you do. Take a quick video of the house. I mean, you can even do a photo, but videos, works always is better. Just be careful of if you're showing an address, of a house or a condo, an apartment, a tiny home. I mean, again, you're showing people what you're willing or what you can expect. Not every inspector does commercial inspections, but show how big the building is. Take a nice pan of a huge lot. We had a client that recently did a 40,000 square foot house. Had to bring in several inspectors to help him. So we recommend get lots of video, show the size of the house, show all the different inspectors. Just something unique and something different. Maybe you're at a house and there's a really cool or unique renovation. Maybe you can show video and talk about its quality or point out something that's really good about it or something that's really not so good about it. Maybe something they should have done differently for structurally. Again, if you're pointing out something that's bad, you want to be careful about how you say it. And then also don't forget when you post these videos and you're showing something really cool, ask a question in the description. Say, hey, what do you think about this? Is this something that you would do? It's a great way to get people to engage, to get them to answer those questions. And one thing I want to say, if someone does engage, if someone answers one of your questions on social media, make sure that you at least like that comment, but preferably you comment back, say thank you, or strike up a conversation. Now, just a bit, I'm going to start showing you some actual examples of what one of our inspectors, what he does, things that he sees in a home. But humor is one of the best ways to engage people, which is the whole goal in creating content, right? We're trying to engage your friends, engage your followers, so that they remember you. And one of the best kinds of content is educational content. Give people maintenance tips on taking care of a home, its systems or its appliances. This will present you as an expert, which will build trust. Anything on a property that is unique or that you find interesting is potential content. And keep in mind that if you find it interesting, I guarantee you other people find it interesting as well. And then finally, testimonials. The testimonials are very powerful. They provide, actual feedback about what people think about you, and they build trust because it shows, the real experience of these clients and how they're satisfied with you. And if you feel you have, if you've developed a good relationship with the homeowner or a realtor that referred you or anybody that referred you that inspection, really don't hesitate to ask them, can I grab a quick testimonial video from you? Most people are totally fine with it and they're happy to do it. All right, so let's get into some samples. Now, because this is a webinar, A video doesn't show very well often, and so I'm going to show you a still picture that, and we'll talk about how that you can turn that still picture into a video. And then my hope here is maybe you can kind of, next time that you're on on an inspection, you can kind of see what's available. So this is Paul Lister. He is fantastic about finding funny things like this. Now, as far as video, you could record turning on the faucet, saying something funny about it. Now, and this is obviously it's a selfie. Um, we really recommend doing selfies. It's a great way for people to connect with you because they can actually hear and see you, and you can actually put a voice to the face, so to speak. But if you're not comfortable, 'cause sometimes they can be a little challenging to shoot a selfie video. You can not be in the video, but at least talk in it. And so what I would have done is I would have walked up, I would have turned my camera on, walked up to it, turned the faucet on, and said whatever came to mind, or said something funny, whether I liked it or I didn't like it. And here's another one. This is a great one. I know this is one of my life goals. I mean, what man doesn't want a urinal in his bathroom? And most men will relate to this, which is kind of what you want to do. And they'll probably find it funny. So, and if people can connect with that, it'll make it more memorable. And what I would have done here, I would have walked into the bathroom and then, turned left or right, wherever it was, and just shown the urinal, said whatever came to my mind, or flushed it, whatever. But there's many things that you can do here. And this is just kind of funny. It kind of shows that it doesn't even have to be about the house. It can be things that are around the house that are happening. Anything that'll catch someone's attention and make them remember it and engage with it. And so here I probably would have walked along the fence without the doll in the shot, and then kind of like a horror movie, and the doll kind of reveals into the video, and then said whatever would have been on my mind, something about how, God, how creepy is this, or I don't know. So anyway, so this was, again, someone's going to see this, and Paul put not creepy at all, and that's what he had in his text. Very, very simple, a little bit funny. He had a little emoji there. So this actually works really well. It looks like it's been there for a while. And this one, we've seen a lot of posts like this. I mean, you could have easily, you take a video of this, you pan it left, you pan it right, you kind of walk towards it, and for me, the first thing I see is, if I had OCD, I'd be like, well, this satisfies my OCD tendencies, right? Or say something straight about it, or something, pretty straightforward. So, but this picture gets your attention, and if you're scrolling, people will stop on stuff like this. And then, so when you're thinking about content, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And by what I mean by that is you don't have to be cutting edge. You don't have to worry about going viral, which is a lot of what that does. Their main purpose is we're just trying to engage with your friends and followers, so they remember you. And hopefully it's engaging enough to where they make a comment, or they share it, or they like it, because that will help that being seen again. And so it really is okay to use ideas that other people have already done, because your audience is different than everybody else's. And even if you're an inspector, there's obviously many inspectors in the same cities, and even if you guys have some of the same friends, or the same realtors follow you, and there's a little bit of overlap, the odds of them seeing both of your posts are very low. And even if you copy someone, which I don't recommend copying somebody, just borrowing their ideas, what we want to call it, you will do it differently than them, and we might even do it better. You look different, you act different, you speak different, you use different words, so it will be unique to you. So don't be afraid. If you're having a hard time coming up with ideas, go on someone else's, another inspector social media page, and see what they're doing, and just start doing that. And yeah, of course we want to have unique content, but the bottom line is you're better off posting content that's already been done than you are not posting anything at all. So I'm going to say that again. Don't be afraid to borrow someone's idea and use it as your own. And another thing that a lot of people don't do is, don't be afraid to be personal. And now it doesn't mean, air your dirty laundry or your life story, whether that's good or bad, because there is such a thing as oversharing. All we're trying to do is just to kind of let people get to know you a little bit about you outside of being an inspector. Here's a great picture of Paul. Looks like they're going out on a date. And this is his wife. Anybody that's married can kind of connect with that. And it just really shows, that he's not a robot inspector. He's an actual human being, which is what people, that's what they want to connect with. And, being authentic and being sincere, which is when you're showing pictures of your wife or your kids or anything like that. Being sincere is a buzzword, and it has been for a while, but there's a reason for it. And that's because it's really important to do that, because that's what people connect with. People don't connect with things or objects. They connect with people. And when you can show a little bit of personal side of yourself, it really helps with that. People, they do want to learn about you and what's going on about you as an inspector outside of being an inspector. What things are you doing when you're not inspecting? What hobbies, interests, activities do you have? It's a great way to connect with people. Maybe you golf, you garden, you play an instrument, or you're really into cars, whatever kind of hobby. If your friends and followers say, oh, wait, I do that. I love doing that too. It gives you guys a shared interest. And again, when they see that, they can connect with that and they can relate with that. And it goes a long way. And again, we're with those connections and engagements. I keep saying those two words, but it's important because they are very important. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And the more of a glimpse that they get into who you are as a person, not just as an inspector, it really helps get them to get to know you and like you and trust you. So another really important thing is, if you have no one to see your posts, it's really not going to work. So you really need to start building your audience. Now, but with that said, an audience on social media. With that said, at minimum, what social media does is it builds a presence so that when someone goes to your Facebook or your Instagram or wherever, there's content there. People will wonder, is this a legitimate business if they go there and there's nothing for them to see? Now, for whatever reason, if that happens and they still want to learn about you, but now they have to go find you somewhere else, which now you're making them work, take more steps, and you don't want to do that. So first, you post on social media so you have content, but then get as many friends and followers as possible so that content is viewed, so it works. But with that said, we want to build organically. You used to be able to buy followers, and that's so not recommended. I said get as many as possible, but it's really not about quantity. It's about having as many quality followers as you have. Now, if we were selling a product to a large base like clothes or alcohol, gadgets, parts, whatever, then yes, you want hundreds of thousands of followers or millions. But again, as an inspector, you're not selling to millions of people. You're not worried about going viral. You want your followers and your friends to be people that are willing to engage with you, that they might not 100% know you, but they're willing to get to know you. And so that if they do need an inspection or they know someone who wants an inspection, they're going to refer you because they know, like, and trust you. And so how do you build followers? Well, it's the old fashioned way of just, you got to ask. A lot of times, spend time on social media and make a point to go follow people in the real estate industry, in the trades industry, whether they're in construction, anything to do with the home. Go start liking those people and following those people, and then ask them to do the same. And before you know it, you're going to have a lot of followers. And again, because you're all in the real estate industry, because you're not going to get really a referral from a builder, but maybe a builder has a friend that knows someone that wants an inspection, or has a family member that knows someone that wants an inspection. So it's good to have as many quality friends and family as possible.
Peter, can I ask a question on that?
Sure.
I know a couple inspectors who are really diligent after each inspection to try and post a picture of whoever, of the home or whoever the customer was, and then tagging the agent who referred them and even the brokerage that the agent was from, saying, hey, I had a great inspection tonight with whoever, Tom and
Yep.
Mary, sure appreciate XYZ agent and XYZ brokerage for their, support and whatever. And what they found was whenever you tag them, that immediately shows up as a little notification on that agent that somebody mentioned them, and then that agent will typically go in and like that post, and it
Yep.
kind of helps build that. And then you also, a lot of times when you tag the customer, then they'll go in and they'll see that they were tagged, and they'll go like that post, and then they start to follow you, and then their friends start to see those posts. So do you recommend doing that after each inspection, or is that just a
No,
lot of work?
100%, because not only will, if you tag that realtor, well, realtors understand, good realtors really understand social media. Yeah, they're gonna comment on that because they know it helps the engagement of that post. But then when I tag a realtor, now that post is going to show up on their feed.
Yeah.
And now there's the potential of their friends and followers seeing that post, right? And so that is a fantastic way of getting on other people's feeds, you know what I mean, without uploading it to their Facebook page. And so the more people you can tag, the more visible it's going to be. And then again, if they like it, I mean, liking something is okay, but if you can get people to comment, the more comments you have on a post, the better, which is another reason why I said, if someone comments on one of your posts, or especially or I mean, anybody for that matter, one, if you just ignore them, it doesn't make them feel good about it, right? So, but then it also creates more comments, which will make the post more visible.
Mhm.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, cool. No problem. All right. So how long should your videos be? This is a often asked question, and if there's not a simple answer, but I'll do my best. I'll try to make it as black and white as possible. But for social media, they say 15 seconds, right? Is usually what they say, 15 to 30 seconds. But in this industry, as a home inspector, if you're really creating good content, it's hard to get a lot of information out there in 15 seconds, unless you're showing something goofy, like this, like a social media post where, like I showed you, turning on the faucet of the dolphin. That can be 10, 15 seconds, right? But if you're trying to give people good information and educational tips, it's kind of hard to do that. So, I think you're safe with a 30 seconds to a minute long. Um, we're a lot of influencers are trying to keep them under 10 or 15 seconds, and we're not trying to be an influencer. So again, to get quality information out there, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but try to keep them under a minute for sure. But here's the thing about length, and is it okay if a video is longer? If someone thinks it's worth watching, they're going to watch it no matter what the length. If it's interesting to them, they will watch. And what proves that is, people talk about us not having attention spans anymore, but yet we'll binge watch an entire season on Netflix, right? An entire series. That's hours and hours and hours. And so what that proves is, if the content is good and if they're interested in it, they will watch it. People don't watch bad content. So if people watch a video and in 2 seconds they're out, or 5 seconds, it's because they just didn't like it or they weren't interested in it. So that's something to keep in mind also. But to keep it safe, again, let's try to keep them shorter, under a minute long, and you should be fine. How often should you post? Which can be another tough question, and because I think it depends on your audience as well. But it's really hard to overpost or post too much. I don't think you should really worry about that. There are people that say post every day. There are some guys like Grant Cardone post 5 times a day. And the people that unfriend you, when we're never going to be a client or a customer anyway, right? I think a little differently. I think if you post once a day or 5 times a day, it's okay. But you have to remember, the reason why you want to post frequently is because not every friend or follower is going to see every single post. It's actually a really small percentage of them. And only the people that really engage with all your content, whether they comment or like it, are going to see a lot of your posts. So if you post 5 days a week, let's say, not every friend or follower will see all 5. They might see 1 or 2. right? So that's why if you only post once a week, very few people might see that post. You post 5, maybe a third or so we'll see a whole bunch of those posts. So that's why we kind of recommend posting at least 3 days a week. 5 days a week is fantastic. And again, that sounds like a lot, but with not everybody seeing everybody's post, it's not. And then if you're not very good at posting, the more you do it, it gets really fast. And so 5 posts is not a big deal. So let's talk about posting to Facebook. And I'm going to stick to Facebook just to kind of narrow it down. But first, before you post, let's pretend you shot your video. We need to kind of prepare that video with some simple editing. So the first thing you want to do is you want to trim the video. Okay, see that the goofy looking face I'm making in that video. A lot of times what happens is you see the person, their hand comes back because they turned on their phone, or their hand comes forward because they turned it off. We can actually trim that stuff out. So where those arrows are pointing, those two, now this is an iPhone, and Androids, I believe, work similar. But if I'm trimming this video with my iPhone, I would place my finger where those arrows are. And if I need to shorten the video from the beginning or trim the beginning, I would just drag that to the right. And then if I'm trimming the end, I would just drag it to the left. And so that way you can kind of take out those sections. And what I do when I'm recording videos, I press record, I stop for a second, to give a little bit of a pause there. I smile, I start talking, and then when I'm done, I stop, I smile, I stop talking, I wait for a second. So that way it makes it a lot easier to trim that. So I make that trim, I press done. And so on the iPhone, you have 2 options. You can save the video, which replaces the original video, or you can save it as a completely new clip. So you can do whatever you prefer. If you don't want to add a whole bunch of videos or a whole bunch of duplicates, just do save video and it'll replace it. You press done, and now your video will go to its library, and you're ready to post to Facebook. So you're going to open up your Facebook app. And your first thing you're doing, you're going to click on what's on your mind, and then that'll take you to you would put your description in there, or you would go to your photo library, and you can see the little blue button there that shows that I've selected that video. That's my newly trimmed video that's ready to go. It uploads it up to Facebook for me, and then I'm going to click on say something about this video. And then that's where I'm gonna type this in. Now the description is very, very important. Not only is it telling people what's in the video, and here what I'm doing is I'm giving people a reason to watch it. So if you're interested in creating videos for social media, I've just explained it to you right there that this is what I'm gonna give you 5 tips just to kind of get you started. Okay. And then what I'm gonna do is, it's only 5 tips, so there's a lot more things that you can do. So I'm gonna put my URL right here, the website to our email, or to our reference page where our other videos live, and they can learn how to, and they can learn more tips, and they can go straight to our website. And that's one of the main purposes of social media, is to drive people to your website. It's also good for search engine or search engine optimization, which is about link building. That's opening up a whole nother can of worms that gets confusing. But anyway, add your URL to the description. You can add some hashtags. It's, the opinions are changing. AI is changing that, because for search engines, AI is now looking at the content or what you're using in your descriptions for searches, and they're using less hashtags. I use just a few just to be safe, but you're going to see soon people aren't going to use hashtags at all. So you can look at the final post to see what it looks like. Just double check everything, make sure there's no spelling errors. I would click post, and there it is. That's all there is to it. Instagram works similar. TikTok, X, or Twitter, they all work similar. You can link your Facebook and Instagram together, so you only have to post in one place. You can use Meta Business Suite. which then you just post to Meta Business Suite. It'll send it to Facebook and Instagram. There's some different tools there that you can use, some analytics. But either, you can do it either way. But you can see there's what, 3 steps? 4 steps, and when you talk about trimming the video. So, and once you get really good at this, it'll take you 5 minutes to do a post, which is not bad at all. So let's go over some tips. I mentioned earlier, DIY works because you don't need high-end production, but it still can't be crap. It still has to look good. Let's talk about a few things that you can do to make sure your video looks good and people will want to watch it. So shoot vertically. Now, I've really had to change my tune on this. For many years, I told people shoot horizontally. It's the way people like to look at, we're used to with our TVs, widescreen and so on. But you know what? People, they just don't like to turn their phone sideways anymore, which sounds ridiculous. Doesn't take much effort. So what happens is if you shoot horizontally, people are watching it vertically, the video stays very small within your phone. And so they can't see as much. When you shoot vertically and they're watching vertically, the video fills the whole screen. It makes it easier to watch. And we don't want to make people work hard when it comes to watch. I mean, they don't even want to turn their phone sideways. So don't make people work hard to watch videos. A couple other tips: when you are shooting, make sure you keep your camera as still as possible. If you're panning left or right or tilting up and down, zooming in, just go as slow and smooth as you can. Walk and talks, right? Unless you're good at it, I wouldn't do it, or just do a lot of practicing before you start walking and talking. Keep the camera eye level, meaning the camera lens should be eye level, because you want to make it appear like you're actually making eye contact with the person and you're talking to them in person. So you see a lot of people holding the phone up when they're taking pictures to get rid of neck folds or neck rolls, or they shoot down low for whatever reason. That's not natural. That's not what we do in person, unless you're talking to someone really tall, but you're still looking them in the eye. And again, you want to make it feel like you're talking to that person like you would naturally. So I think out of all the tips that I'm going to give you today, this is the most important one. Use a microphone. If people can't understand you clearly and easily, they're less likely to keep watching. Now, a lot of times it sounds like they're in a large room. There's that hollow sound, which is not natural, especially if you're speaking to them in person. Unless you're in a big room that's empty and you're standing far apart from each other, yes, it could sound hollow, but in person, our voices are very full in our ears. And so we want to recreate that, and a mic really does that. And it makes it more engaging if they can hear you better. And the more engaging they are, there's not that space that not using a microphone creates. They're going to watch longer if they're more engaged. So you can get mics like this on Amazon. There's wired mics. There's wireless mics. They start at $30. Go up to a couple $100, but that's really not necessary. The ones that are $30 work fantastic. This is optional, a tripod. It's very helpful. Shaky video is very distracting, and that's the job of a tripod. It keeps the camera nice and still, but it does require a little bit more work. It also allows you, if you're not worried about holding on to the camera and making sure you're in frame, you can just focus on what you're saying, which is the most important part, rather than trying to do all that other stuff. Excuse me. And because of that, it allows you to be more natural. It does require more work, a little bit more planning, but which is why most people don't, they don't use them. But again, it is an option. But just again, if you don't use them, just make all your movements nice and slow. Really focus on keeping your camera nice and steady, just to keep it not so shaky. And this is really optional. This is probably the least most important thing. Now, I'm not saying lighting isn't important, because lighting is important, but I'm talking about bringing in additional lighting. Yes, it does make it look a lot better, and it doesn't help. That's why professionals use lights. If you're in a really dark area and you have to shoot in that area, then yes, I would bring in a light if you have one. I mean, these lights, again, they can go from $20, $30 up to thousands of dollars. But a $20, $30 light, like the one there on the total right of your screen, I think that was like 30, 40 bucks. Just like we don't want to have bad audio, we don't want to have dark video for the same reason. It's distracting. And if it's bad enough or dark enough, or if they can't see you very well or see the object, if you're shooting an object, they'll just stop watching. So just make sure you're in a really light room. Just use your eyes. The phones adjust really well. If it seems too dark to your eyes, it's probably too dark to shoot in. So you either have to shoot somewhere else or figure out a way to get more natural light in. Let's talk
Peter,
really.
I was
Yes.
just for fun, I just went to Amazon, and you can get really nice Bluetooth microphones
Yeah.
for like 20 bucks. Like it's
20 bucks.
not a big
20 bucks.
expense. And the
No.
tripod, same thing, like 20 bucks. You can get a pretty
Yep.
nice tripod that'll hold your phone up. So if those really do make a big difference, it's certainly worth the expense, it sounds like.
Especially the audio. Like
Yeah.
I've heard videos people shooting themselves, and there's so much noise. Even because I'm going to talk about noise later. But just hearing your voice nice and full in your ears is so important.
Yeah.
It does keep people engaged. So yeah, that's great. Thank you. So you should think about your background. What's behind you if you're doing a talking video? Um, you know, and then also we'll talk about noises if you're not in the video. But first, make sure it's quiet. Especially if you're not using a mic. Noises are a big distraction. Whether it's people talking, cars going by, birds chirping. Anything that's not relevant to the topic. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're talking about a water heater, and you're talking about water heater maintenance, right? And in the background, all of a sudden, a dog starts barking. Well, that's going to distract them. That dog barking is going to take them away from what you're saying and start listening to that dog. And they can't do both. So, subtle noises are fine, but just nothing really loud. Now, if you're talking about the water heater and the water heater clicks on, like if it's a gas water heater and you hear it ignite or the tick or whatever, that's part of the water heater, and that's as long as they can still hear your voice, it'll be a slight distraction, but not enough to pull them away, because you kind of expect that sound. So it's the sounds that aren't part of what you're talking about. As far as if you're doing if you're doing a talking head video where you're on it, be careful of what's behind you. You don't want people moving behind you, or so much clutter back there, because people are going to start looking at it. And if they're looking at it, they're not paying attention to you. So keep it simple with not a lot going on. Don't shoot in front of a bright window. That's what we call being backlit. And what the camera does, it's going to adjust the brightness of the light or the window or whatever behind you, which means you're going to get very, very dark. Unless you have a light to compensate for that, you're going to get dark and you're going to be hard to see. So no bright windows behind you, or if you're shooting something next to a bright window, just be very careful to try to shoot around that. And then again, I mentioned this already, very little going on behind you, unless it has something to do with what you're talking about. Have everything be as still as possible. So it's just not a distraction. Okay, final thoughts. So focus on the content first, then focus on how it looks. Content is king, but again, we want it to still look good. Take the time to set things up properly with the right equipment. For us, basically take the time to use a microphone, and if you can use a tripod and a light, but definitely microphone. Don't forget, please shoot vertically now. Do not shoot horizontally. Keep it short. Again, we talked about 30 seconds to a minute, but if you know what you're talking about, and test it. If you talk for 2 minutes on a video and you get a lot of engagement, well, people want to hear from you. So keep doing 2 minutes, right? The longer they engage with you, the better. Don't be afraid to get personal. Again, not too personal. We know that happens on Facebook. By personal, I mean you're going out to dinner with your family, going golfing with friends, gardening, playing music, whatever it is that you do outside of being a home inspector. People love learning that about you. Post 3 to 5 days a week. Post 7 days a week. It's not going to be too much. Once you start getting into 3-4 times a day, as a home inspector, that might be too much, but post at least 3 to 5 days a week, and then start building your audience. And again, the best way to do that is go start. You can't expect people to like and follow you if you're not liking and following people as well. And so spend some time, 5-10 minutes every day, find new people that in the not just real estate industry, but anything to do with the home, start making friends with them and engaging with them, and then ask them to like you back. And again, most people, especially realtors love as many followers as possible. And that's it. So thank you so much. Again, my name is Peter Schlemmer. You can, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at peter.schlemmer. There's my easyhomeinspectormarketing.com. You can check out what we do, and I will take just a minute or so. At Easy Home Inspector Marketing, we create social media content and email marketing content. We create it for you, and then we post it for you. And so that way you don't have to worry about it. All you do is once a month, we send you what we're posting, and you say, and you can look at it. If you want to opt out of it, you can. That generally doesn't happen. And that's all. And then we take care of everything for you. And then we are building you visibility and engagement and enough content so that when people do come to your social media, there is actually fresh content, which is also really important. It's not just posting content, it's posting fresh content on a consistent basis.
That's awesome. We sure appreciate it, Peter. Wayne,
no problem.
You're our inspector here. Do you have any questions, Wayne, or anything that why you got these guys? You can
Wayne,
ask
you might be one of the better Summit members on posting in Facebook. I feel like the Summit group has been pretty social media savvy for quite some time now. You got any tips or anything to add to it?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Peter, I've heard and been told that they look at certain times to post your Facebook media, like I don't know, like before 10 a.m., after 5 p.m. Is that really even that important?
Yes. And so we use a program called Sprout to do our social media, and they actually for us come up with the best times to post content. And so you got to try to find the habits of your audience, right? Of when they're on social media. That's really hard to do. So when are most people on social media, in the mornings and at night, or if they're at the DMV? But how do you can't, that's hard to time. So I think in general, most of our postings that go out for our inspectors go out in the morning, but usually before noon. It's usually in between like 9 and noon.
Okay. I always found I get a lot of responses when I do the live ones out in the field versus coming back later than doing them later.
Yeah. So you mean actually do a live stream, or you mean post
do a live stream on Facebook?
Yeah, because that's it's real. It's about it's timely and what I mean when I say real. But if you take a picture and post it right away, that's still real, or a video, but they're actually seeing you and hearing you. Nothing's edited, and so that's about as authentic and sincere as it can get. And so live, if you're willing to do live, that's amazing.
Yeah, I see some inspectors posting some really good stuff about things that they see. They try to kind of educate agents on their Facebook videos that they're doing, or photos and things that they're doing. And I think that's a really good, real sincere way to make posts, right? Common things that you're saying, hey, this is like the third time this week I saw this, this bad pressure valve here, and good content to use. I've also seen it used in inspectors presentations to agents as well from their social media page, where they don't really have to say, hey, we do a lot of this content, but hey, here's something that we see a lot that's from my Facebook page. So the social media can be used in different aspects. Something that I do sometimes, you guys probably see me posting in the Summit group at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I'm not a morning guy, but you can schedule your posts to go out. Yes. So if you have a busy morning, right, or you got a really busy week, and you got Tuesday morning kind of cleared out, well, gosh, you can take maybe 30 to 60 minutes and set up a post to go out Wednesday morning and Thursday evening and Friday morning and so on and so forth. If you're not going to have time where you can sit down and kind of maybe get a week or so scheduled out. Also, when clipping videos, you might be able to take the one long video and make maybe 2 or 3 30-second videos and use those over the next couple of weeks as well, that I've seen kind of repurposed and stuff like that. So that was a lot of good information that Peter gave us.
Thank you. Well, and you brought up a good point, which is what happens with marketing when you do your own marketing. You have the best intention. You say, I'm going to post this on Wednesday morning. Well, Wednesday morning comes up and something else happened. And now, you know what I mean? And now you can't post on Wednesday morning.
Always. Something always comes up Wednesday morning.
Yeah. when you can schedule ahead of time, it just makes sure that post gets out. Right.
Yep.
And that is so important. And then back to education. Education is one of the most powerful things that you can do because you're teaching people stuff. I mean, look at all the stuff on YouTube where these guys are just showing people how to do things. They get millions of views, right? People like to be educated, and if it's a topic that interests them, and so there's that, and then it just shows you as an expert. If you can talk about all things related to the house, it just shows that how much knowledge you have of the home, which makes you a better inspector.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And again, go check out easyhomeinspectormarketing.com. It's also our featured highlight benefit for Summit members this month, where they have a package that they're offering Summit members starting at $65 a month. So definitely worth it. I'm also a big fan of, even if you're having someone post to your social media, still do the things that you're doing. Wayne, still go live and do the stuff from the roofs, or as you're doing a sewer scope and stuff like that, even if you have a company like Peter and Rick's company doing that stuff for you as well. So great information here. Wayne, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Any other questions?
Oh, okay. I mean, just comments, because I see Paul's stuff all the time. We're good friends, and I do comment back on his stuff. So
Paul Lister.
Paul Lister, yeah,
yeah, he's Paul. Great.
He is.
Paul's a great guy.
He was close to me. I mean, I've done different ways, and of course on the Summit group we have advertisements in there already, which I do post, and then I have a third party. I have a designer who designs some stuff. We all know his name. That is a little bit more edgier, and I guess it's the way you prefer it. I prefer the edgier stuff, but I mean, I still the advertising things too.
I'd say edgy / modern. Yep, Mr. Browning.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we all know who he is.
Yep.
Yeah, it's and that's really important to stick with. I don't want to sound all like markety. Stick to your brand, but it's important, right? I mean, you don't want to show edgy, but you're straight. You know what I mean? You're not edgy at all, because then they meet you in person. They're like, well, wait a second. His posts make it look like he's super edgy or super whatever, but in person you're not, right? And then that's terrible when you do that stuff to people, because then they feel like they don't really know you.
Yep.
I think that's where lives come in, because they'll know you when you're doing a live.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to do, Wayne, on social media posts or anything? Is it the live? Is that what you think is your favorite thing to do, or what you get the most feedback from? What's your 2 cents?
Okay, now let's start with it. None of them is my favorite thing to do. Okay. But I find that if I'm there and I see it and I do it live, it's not sitting in my photo roll later.
Yeah.
Are you constantly looking for things to post as you're at inspections or meetings and things like that?
We're in the field all the time. You just see stuff. I'm still in the field. You just see stuff. You'll go by. I go, oh my God. If you say, oh my God, do a video.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's key. Just keeping that top of mind, so that when you're out there, that's always in the back of your head of what can I do that helps with my social media. That's a great, and I like your criteria for when it should be posted or not.
Yeah, especially somewhere like if it makes you go, oh my God, or whoa, what's that? That's so just do a video. I like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Has there been a way to figure out what that screen capture is, to kind of put something really unique, not using clickbait, so to speak, but, instead of just starting out the video, it's typically the first frame of the video that you're going to post is the screenshot of the video, right? Is there a way that you found to maybe change that to be something inside the video?
You can upload. I now I haven't done that from my phone, but you can choose your thumbnails. Like if you go through Meta,
Mhm.
you can choose your thumbnails, so that it starts with whatever you want it to start with. Another thing, not just the thumbnail, but using music. Even if the music is so quiet, but if you use trending music, it'll boost your posts big time, because it'll search, because it'll when you put the music that's trending, it automatically makes you more findable, or you know what I mean, if that makes
Well,
sense.
you can search through that. You can actually click on some music on
Yeah.
there, and then you can see other videos that have that same
Yep.
audio with their
Yep.
videos. So it
Yeah.
opens your the video up to being viewed by others.
Yeah, but that thumbnail is really important. Whatever your initial thumbnail is, I know that the term clickbait, but it doesn't mean it's clickbait. It just means it's, whatever thumbnail represents, what you're showing, or something that is um, intriguing. And that's not the word I'm looking for, though. But anyway, yeah, that's
No,
that.
intriguing, because that's what you kind of want to click on, or not
Yeah,
stop scrolling
it's like a
past it,
hook.
right?
Yeah, it's a hook.
Yeah. It came a
So
long way. I remember, gosh, 10 years ago or whatever it was, where, some of these phones, you had to have some programs to snip your videos, but you kept it like this. You kind of see your hand moving back, and that was the
yeah,
capture video that you saw before you did it for
yes,
reels and other things like
yeah.
that. So, good point. I actually liked where you said you start the video, you wait a second or two, and then you get into the video, because that'll help you on the editing. Just makes it a little bit
Yeah,
faster
faster.
doing that. Yep.
Yeah.
Good tip on that.
Thank you.
All right. Well,
Well,
Peter
cool.
and Rick, you've been a little quiet. Is there anything you'd like to chime in here?
Well, I should say that we're going to be at Inspection Fuel in September, and we'll be at the Northern Illinois chapter of ASHI. They have a conference there in June. We'll be
Okay.
exhibiting there, and of course, we'll be at the ASHI National sometime early next year. So if you're at any of those shows, stop and say hi to us. We get a chance to meet you.
Yeah, you'll be with one of our summit members, Hank Sander, who runs the one up in Chicago area as well.
Yep. Yeah, Hank's a good friend and also a client.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's great to hear. Aaron, anything else you want to add before we kind of end everything here?
We sure appreciate you guys coming. Thank you for taking the time in the middle of the day. We're going to get this recording out. We'll include it in our Facebook post this week, and it'll be on the newsletter in about 2 weeks. So thank you again for your time, and we sure appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate it. You guys have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Bye.